Today I'm going to be creating a snap package with the help of fellow YouTuber and good friend Bigpod. How you doing, Bigpod?
I'm doing great.
Oh, great.
How are you doing?
Pretty good. So we have done videos in the past on how to build Arch packages. Now we're going to take a
Yes.
look at snap packages. Arch packages were pretty easy to build. You were able to talk me through that. How easy is building a snap package?
Well, step packages are variable in difficulty, but most of them are pretty easy to build, but they're quite different from the packages for AOR or many other packages you could build.
Okay. Well, for me, since I'm kind of a noob, why don't we pick an easy package? You talk me through it and talk the viewers through it.
Sure,
All
why
right.
not? Okay, so when we prepare our environment, we need to have Snapcraft installed. So we install it by sudo snap install Snapcraft.
Okay.
As you see, Fish did it for me automatically. What Snapcraft is a tool for managing Snap packages made by Canonical. It uses classic confinement, which is the confinement with full system privileges, like normal installed packages.
Right.
And I already have it installed.
Okay.
So the other package we need our software to install is multipass. Again with classic confinement.
And when you're talking
Yeah,
about classic confinement, by default, snaps are containerized where they don't have access to the full
yeah,
system. But when you give it this classic flag, it can actually access everything on your system.
Yeah, they have full access, but by default they have only access to themselves unless the developer specifically asks for specific interfaces, as they're called.
Right.
And actually, one of the great things about snaps compared to Flatpaks is that there is a whole community, or more specifically, people at Canonical are checking every package if it actually requires those interfaces to communicate with. So there is no way you could, let's say, a package, I don't know what, that doesn't actually require for its primary function, one of its functions, let's say, access to the full file system. If it's, let's say, I don't know, a game,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't actually require access to your root or your, I don't know, your bin folder. Or for example, access to your videos or images.
It's just
It
a
doesn't
security
require that.
feature. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's quite excellent security feature.
Mm-hmm.
I already have multipass installed as it is seen here.
Okay.
This is multipass. So now that we have both pieces of software installed, we need to create a directory in which we will work. So since we will be making st, simple terminal by Cycless,
Okay.
as a snap package, we will need a directory. We're gonna call it st. So we may make directory st, and we can go in. Now inside there, we're gonna need some files that Snapcraft requires. So we're gonna just type in Snapcraft init, which will initialize all the required folders and files. It's actually one folder and one file. And it also points you to the documentation for Snapcraft and everything you need. So let's just go into the directory called Snap, where all this stuff is happening, really,
Okay.
especially around Snapcraft. So, and one thing is in there, it's snapcraft.yaml, and let's open it up. And this is where most people's problems with this starts. This is the YAML file.
Okay.
And those are like hell to edit.
Yes, they are.
One thing that many people don't either understand or forget is that
It's the
each of these indentations is actually spaces,
right. Yeah.
not
The
tabs.
indentions.
So that's the big problem.
Yes, I hate YAML
So
files, especially large ones, because if you indent
yeah,
one line wrong, the whole thing is
whole file fails.
right.
Yeah. So that's why it's good to have a editor that knows the difference between tabs and spaces and can convert between them when necessary. So example is VS Code has setting where you can actually specifically set, even if you press a tab, it will automatically make it spaces.
Yeah. Most people, if they're using Vim, they've already set all their tabs to convert to spaces automatically.
Yeah.
If you use Emacs, there's a function. If you do Alt-X and type untabify, it will remove all your tabs and replace them with spaces. So that takes care of all that. Any good editor should be able to do that. So
yeah, so let us prepare. So first of all, we need to specify a name. Of course, if you want to register this and put it onto the Snap Store, we need to make a name that is unique. So we cannot just make another ST if there is already ST package on there. So it would have to be ST DistroTube ST Bigpod.
Okay.
But for a part of this example, we could just put ST.
I would bet no one has packaged the suckless terminal for the Snap Store. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that.
I bet we are the ones that are that audacious to make it as a package.
I don't think the suckless crowd would probably be using snaps anyway. Just saying.
And I think just checked, and I think there is nothing named ST actually in the Snap Store. And if you want to register, you need to be logged in with your Ubuntu One account, which is the main, which is the SSO Ubuntu uses over all its platforms like Launchpad, Snap Store, Snapcraft. It's a really nice account. You have one account for everything concerning Snap. Now, the next line is what is known as base, which is on what base package this package will be based on. So for this core 18 refers to 1804 as in container of Ubuntu 1804.
Okay.
We can use that. We could use Ubuntu 20 as the latest one, but I believe it isn't yet available. It isn't yet as stable as Ubuntu 18 or Core 18 as it is named. Or if there is some compatibility issues with Core 18, there is still an option of Core, which is Ubuntu 1604. So basically every release, every LTS release should have its own corresponding core version for a snap.
Okay. That makes sense. So a core 18, basically the snap is running in this containerized 1804 environment. Is that kind of what's going on? Is
basically your snap will be running as a part of that. Will take the core 18 container, and it will just layer itself on top of it.
Okay.
Now, next one is version. So 0.1 or whatever ST uses as a version. And this is mainly for humans what to want to use. It is not really what all the other things use because there is no need.
Mm-hmm.
But humans want to see a version, and that's what it's important to them. So they know something's actually happening.
We should double check, on STs.
You would know what version is more than me.
Well, I'm not running the latest because I have my own build and I haven't redone it in a while. But if I did a Pacman query here, I could see what is actually in the Arch repos because they would.
Yeah, they would have the latest version. So the version is 0.8.3.
Okay.
Now the next part is summary, where you about 70, 80 characters of what you want to tell about your snap. So this is what most people will see when they open Snap Store.
Okay.
First thing they will see.
So this is where you would just basically describe what you're packaging here.
Short description.
Okay.
So ST terminal built on VIDA by DT and Bigpod. While then there is description, which is the long description of multi-line and all that. So if you want, you can make your own essay.
All right.
But they say that you should probably keep it under 100 words.
No,
we do live in timeline of Twitter and the 150 character limits. So people like that.
Before we go on, I'm looking at the version line, and they give an example of adding plus get to the version number. Now, why would you do that?
You would add plus git if you want to tell that it's actually built from a Git package, or Git repository. if that package is meant to have multiple sources.
Okay.
So it's built from Git. You wanna tell it's built from Git directly, especially if that software has multiple release types. So let's say it has a direct version like 1.0, 1.2, 1.3, and it's released as an installer or as a targz. You would want to keep that separate, and you can do it in a version. So next line is grade. Grade is how you would grade your software. It's actually what channel you release it. Candidate, edge, stable, and the val is basically what the nodes is as being in development still. So it's not ready to be released on Snap Store.
Okay.
And the next one is confinement, which is what is the classic confinement we were talking about before with Snapcraft and multipass packages. Right now it's in dev mode confinement, which is same as classic. It's just that it is denoting that it's actually in development. So it's a bit different, slight differences with dev mode and classic, especially during the installation if you have the Snap package itself.
And we should mention that to put something in the Snap store, typically they want all these snaps to be strict confinement and not to use classic unless you have to use classic.
Unless you really, really, really have to. So
right.
One of the examples of classic confinement are actually terminals. Mm-hmm. Terminals require classic confinement.
Right, because they need access to the whole system.
Yeah, you need to access the whole system, and it can be quite a problem if you don't have access to the whole system with your terminal.
Right.
So now our packaging actually begins. So this is parts, where different parts of the package will be. So here we can name our part ST, and then we have to go Snapcraft plugins. So let's exit and we'll see all the plugins. Snapcraft plugins. So these are the different plugins Snapcraft uses to make all software. It's actually in the background, it's doing different things with this with the software. So some of the things is abstracted for you. How, for example, how you would do it in
I see. It's the
packages for Arch. So it's basically abstracting those commands and stuff like that.
And I see directories, Python, Ruby, Rust. That's the build environments depending on what you're packaging.
Yeah, those are the environments. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We're gonna use the plugin called Make for make files.
Okay. Because we're doing a C program. Right.
Yeah, and many C programs come with a make file, even though you can actually use make files for any program you like, any programming language you like.
Okay.
Makefile is just telling you how you build something. It's a recipe. So the plugin is make. Now you need, many times you will need to open their documentation on what you can do. So their documentation is at https snapcraft.io. This is it under docs, and you can find different things. So if we search for make, we'll find make plugin. And this is where it tells you about different things you can put into them to tell make plugin what to do. I believe we could already try it as it is. Actually, we're missing one thing.
And what are we missing?
Where will software actually come from?
Where does the software come from?
Yeah, where is the software?
Are you talking about the source?
Software. Yeah, we need source. Right. So this is a part of the parts. So we need to find source. Here it is. Now, this is the part we need source. So if I remember correctly, just put it in front of this. So I just did the mistake I was warning you about. Mm-hmm. I pressed the tab button.
Oh yeah.
With the space like that. In this specific case 4 times, since it's twice indented. So we type source. We do now. This is the great part. Snapcraft actually knows what system. If you let's say tell to it, if you tell to it the Git address, so Git, let's say staticless as Git,
Mm-hmm.
it will actually know it's a Git and it will do a Git clone.
Okay.
Otherwise, you can actually do just dot and it will take the actual directory snaps file is sitting in to actually see that it's there. So now we could actually try it out and build it. So we go back to our ST directory and how to build it. We just type snapcraft and it will create a multipass VM.
Oh, okay.
It will retrieve an image.
Now this is taking a minute here, retrieving image. What is it doing here?
It is basically downloading the core 18 image we were talking about, the base.
So it's like it has to build a VM before it actually builds the package. Is that kind of what it's doing? Okay.
It will pull the package of the container of 1804 specifically built for the snaps. So when it does that for the first time, like it's doing now, since I haven't actually built anything with Snapcraft, it will actually not take so much time.
Ah, okay.
But if you will change the directory or if you change the package, it might actually pull it against it. It requires a new image. It might require a new image for the VM. So it's actually all clean.
All right.
Now it will verify so you do not get from some foreign source. Now it's gonna start the VM, which is named snapcraft-st.
Okay.
Now it found the error, not change the type auto refresh, which is, I believe, one of the newer functions. Now it's actually pulling from the repositories of Ubuntu Bionic, to get what it needs to build stuff. So now it's enabling support for mounting, and here it is what it's pulling. I believe these are actually stuff that doesn't require now. Now it's gonna clone the strc.
Yeah, I didn't realize it had to do this sudo apt upgrade to make the VM right.
Now there was a problem. Failed to run exit code 2. Verify that the part is using the correct parameters and try again. But if we use the debug here, it will allow us to see what's actually happening. So you will see that it does some parts, and now we are in the VM itself. Now, it's actually here. Some stuff are actually missing, like package config.
Not found, yeah. C99 not found.
Huh. That would mean some dependencies are missing.
You know, we should check on the dependencies for ST.
Yeah.
All right, so we took some time to look up some dependencies for ST because I think that was the problem. One of the problems, of course, it was asking about package-config. That was a dependency we were missing. So
we're still in the debug environment. One of the amazing things about the debug environment of Snapcraft is that you can edit snaps entirely from it, or you can edit them from outside. But one problem with doing anything in it, you don't have Nano or V. But what you can do, if you open up in your favorite another favorite, like let's say with our terminal, for example, cd packaging st snap, and you nano the Snapcraft YAML file, every edit that you have here will be automatically reflected in the snap in the style of the VM itself right away. So it's pretty cool for that.
So when you make a change, it's a hot reload. You don't have to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna add here our line, and we're gonna do build dash. Let's just see what is it. We'll build dependencies, but
zoom in here because they're not going to be able to read that.
Oh yeah, this should be better.
Okay.
Now let's open up. This is the Snap documentation. But what is a great source for getting the package information is this site. This is Ubuntu packages. It's maintained by the Ubuntu team. It lists every package in the official Ubuntu repositories. So here we found all the packages we might require for it to work.
All right.
So we looked in the many places where to find the dependencies, since they were quite hidden, must say. So for build its build packages. These are the packages that are required just for build process and not for the actual running of the system. And because this is third level in additional to spaces, or you can just do a dash and one space in the same line as the first letter of the previous one. So it actually knows it's a list.
Okay.
We will need package config. So I was checking the exact name of the package. That's why it took me a bit. So we do not want to miss the name of the package, since it does use our app to install.
Right. So we were looking up dependencies for ST.
Yeah.
And I'm on a Arch-based system. I know you were looking in the Gentoo documentation, but the dependencies for ST could be named differently among all these distributions.
Yeah.
So we had to look up what they were named in Ubuntu.
Yeah. Very specifically what the name in Ubuntu. And one of the things you should remember is on Ubuntu, every development library, so what is used by developers, not by the running system, has a -dev at the end. So these are the two of the libraries we know it requires. Now let's just simply see if it will build. Since we know the build will happen quite quickly, we just run snapcraft inside the environment.
Like it's syncing the repositories again.
And it's pulling new packages, actually.
That's installing GCC.
Yeah. Oh. It needs everything. It doesn't have, it even doesn't have build essentials. Package is basically build essentials for building packages. It has nothing. It's a completely bare environment.
People say snaps are bloated. It didn't even have GCC, guys. It's not bloated.
Yeah.
Right?
It has GCC only if you require it. So if you have C or C++ packages. Now we had another error. So building it, it says there is no directory x11, which means there is no x11 dependencies. So I guess we're missing multiple packages for xorg. So those would be xorg dev. So this is here xorg dev. And here between the dash and the first letter of the item in the list, you need to have a space.
Okay.
The other one is libx11-dev.
Oh yeah, that one's going to be an important one.
Even though xorg-dev might bring it as well as a dependency, I think we should, just to cover our bases, put it as well.
These are the things we take for granted, doing packages.
On most systems, we take this for granted.
Right.
This is completely bare environment. So we cannot take anything for granted. Here we go.
And we're going to see if it builds correctly.
Yeah. It will pull everything. It incrementally pulls. So next time, if you're doing it a completely clean system,
it's pulling down a lot of X11 packages. So I think that may have been it.
Yeah.
As it pulled down the Xorg proto.
It is.
Yep.
Now it will now it actually tells what is required for us to actually for the next package. So stage packages.
Okay.
We can just copy this. This is for actual running of the system. And we're going to just simply, since they already provided stuff for us, just gonna paste it here and put those spaces that are required. This is really what most people hate about YAMLs. The need to be so specific in its indentations. That's why, for example, Flatpak uses the JSON file format, which doesn't use this style of indentations, but uses the curly braces thingy magic.
Now, just clarifying one thing. is the build packages that we had done. Remember, that was just for building the package, and now once the package built correctly, it tells you here's what you need to actually run the program.
Yeah.
So these
and it's smart enough to know what it might require.
Okay.
It probably didn't tell everything, but it might have told enough. So now the special we see it did staging and priming and snapping. Now it knows that this package is, so it just told us that it won't work. But some of these stages, for example, building, might not happen because they already did. So if we go Snapcraft, we see it will check the repositories again. If it needs anything else, since we did change it, now it will pull down the packages we asked for in the stage package, and it goes through some stuff. But since we did, it will require another build, but it's already done. That's how quick it is.
Yeah.
And now we should just exit. We are back in our file directory. And if we
we've got
ls,
the snap pack.
we see the st snap.
Yep.
And how to install this is snap, or more specifically for me, sudo snap.
Right.
Install st, and since it's dev mode in the dev mode confinement, I need to add -- dev mode.
Okay.
So now it's my password, and it will install. Now let's see if it will work.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, yeah, we forgot to tell it that comment exists. Yeah, there's an additional process. Now we know snap built. This was our first concern. Now we need to tell it that there are commands that it needs. So we should again go to snap directory and open our snapcraft YAML, which is already being edited, but okay. We see here now at this point, you can reference other packages and other snapcraft files, snapcraft.yaml. Great resource for that is Alan Pope's GitHub account or his GitHub page. He has a ton of these packages he snapped, so check out his packages. He did probably half of the store. Okay, probably not anymore since there's a lot of packages, but back in the day, he had a lot of packages done by him. What we need is apps. And now here we're gonna do st, and we just need to tell it what kind of command we require. This is a bit of a problem because we do not know where DT, this will be a question for you.
Okay.
Where does make install automatically put the package? In what directory does it put the binary? In what path it puts binary? Probably it's either in bin or user/local/bin.
User. Well, I've got st binaries in two different places on my system. I've got it in user bin and in user local bin.
So probably in user bin it's where it's put. So let's try it out. /user/bin/st. Let's see. And we go back and just do snapcraft, and it will launch back a VM, and it just snapped. No building, no. It tells that there are certain errors or certain not exactly conformed with the command pattern expected by the runtime, but we can fix that later. So let's just reinstall or
sudo snap.
Yes, and st. Okay, it's not in user bin st.
All right, so user bin st obviously wasn't right. It's a user local bin st.
Yeah.
Okay.
User local bin st. We chose the wrong one.
Yeah.
And now if we rebuild, and maybe we spent too much time finding the right binary, so maybe it will require everything because it actually drops after some time. It will drop the whole,
and then it has to rebuild
package,
the VM.
But apparently it was still enough time that it was still on the system.
Yeah, it didn't require a clean build of anything. That ran very quick.
Yeah, it just basically told it, look there for binary. Reinstall it, since we have that in history. To see, we went looking all over the file system. for it. It will unload the old one, install the new one, and now user local bin st not found.
All right, so we were struggling to find why the st binary is not launching because we know it was located in user local bin, but for some reason it wouldn't execute. What have you come up with here, Bigpod?
So one of the things we were missing was a desktop helper. This is the what the part we named desktop, and it's from Ubuntu's repository on GitHub, named Snapcraft Desktop Helpers, which has different scripts and stuff like that that helps with your system, or specifically help your snaps run better, or actually even sometimes run. So one of those one of the scripts that is part of the helpers is the script desktop launch, which actually defines some variables for your environment, so you can actually run correctly, for Snap to run correctly. So one of the problems we were getting, one of the errors, more specifically, was the error about font config.
Okay.
And what the desktop launch does, it specifies specific variables for it to actually find all its configs and stuff like that. So this is what fixed one of our issues we had off screen. And now it launches. So one of the very important stuff I need to tell you is if it's just like this, st won't launch if you have alternative shell as your main shell.
Yeah, that's one of the things off camera we struggled with. Once you got
We
it to this point, it still didn't run, and we couldn't figure it out.
It was building and supposedly running correctly. It just told me it didn't. It just errored out. No reason why.
And the reason is you had your default shell set to
my
fish.
Default shell is fish, and actually when I ran it as sudo as root, st opened up perfectly
because the root shell is bash, or
it's still bash.
Right.
Yeah. So what I had to do was actually switch my default shell to bash. So if we run this now or build it, so Snapcraft.
Let's see it in action now that we think we've got it figured out.
While we did some testing, we maybe did some changes, but it didn't. So we can do
sudo snap install. Yeah, we don't want dangerous.
Yeah, dangerous is another confinement we're gonna talk about later. When you put your snap outside of dev mode, if it's actually as a snap file instead of from snap store, you need to put it as -- dangerous to actually install it.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, I think I know what was now problem. I was running it from fish itself.
That's still fish in that shell, but that's the bash shell.
That shell is so it actually passes the shell along.
Okay.
And when I opened up another one, it knew it's supposed to be.
Yeah. So he opened up what he did here. He opened up a second terminal, and that second terminal is running bash.
Alacrity.
Yeah.
Just a fun fact: Alacrity, the terminal I use, is actually snapped. You can find it in Snap Store.
They have a snap for Alacrity.
Yeah, actually, one of the main sources for how to fix problems was Alacrity Snapcraft file. Now we have, and it should have full control. So if we do sudo, it should, after I type in the password, switch to our root user, and it does.
Yep. Yeah.
That is because it is in the dev mode.
It's got full access to the system. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to log in as root.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Now if we would be releasing, or at least giving to our friends or co-workers, or releasing inside a company. So if you are in an environment where you would like to pass your snap files along, you would probably want to change to classic confinement for this specific case. So how do we do it? We open up our Snapcraft file, and under confinement, we select classic.
Okay.
And after we rebuild it, that dangerous flag will come along. You will see that dev mode should not work anymore. Yeah. Yes, since it's classic confined, we need to use dangerous classic to tell it that it's actually classic and it's supposed to be classic.
Okay.
And it installs correctly now. Again, I have to open from different terminal. But yes, it installs. It will error out because there is no MIME. I didn't set the MIME, so
well, it's just
it opens up.
Yeah.
It's a small error.
Well, we got the
now,
terminal to launch. I mean, we could fix the minor
and it's
stuff.
fully featured terminal now.
Mm-hmm.
But what would happen if you wanna, for some other package, if you wanna confine it into strict confinement and you want it to run, let's say, as X11 app?
Okay.
Even if you just set it to strict, as I can show you here, it won't actually launch because it will require an interface for X11. I can show this here.
We changed it to strict confinement, but I don't think ST will actually like that.
ST will like it completely.
Will it?
Snap won't. It cannot launch. There is permission denied. It cannot open displays. There isn't any, while it's strict without no interfaces.
Oh.
It doesn't have permission to access displays to even open. That's how deep the permissions go in the whole Snap system.
Right. So it didn't have permission to access the X11 server? Is that what?
Yeah, it doesn't have that permission to access desktop or X11. So what we can do, we can, at the end of it, in the apps part, we can add under here what is a list, which is plugs.
All right.
Which is on one side you have an interface that's on the computer side, on the system side, but your Snap has a plug. So you plug your Snap into that interface. And here we're gonna need probably 3 plugs: X11, desktop, and desktop legacy. So one or two of those might not be required, but to be safe, let's use it. Last time I snapped something, I required all 3 of them to actually work. But that was quite a while ago. Again, we need a dangerous flag. And now, while ST definitely won't like this now, it should at least tell that it might open. Yes, child. Oh yeah.
Well, that's because we're in fish.
Yeah. So it actually is running, but it has no permission to my bash RC. It knows that it's somewhere, but it cannot open my home directory. It cannot even list the files in it. ls doesn't work. dir doesn't work. It has no permission to do anything. It can open and check the file, the root, but as we see, it's actually its root.
It can't execute a single binary on the system, can it?
It cannot do anything.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. It's a terminal that can't run anything.
Compare it to my root. You see where the difference is. I have data directory, which is my secondary drive. I have my NAS. There is nothing here of that sort. Why? Because this is the root directory of the Snap itself. If we go to the Snap, it cannot do anything. It's that clueless about the system because Snapcraft environment itself doesn't allow it to do anything. But what we can do, so X11, desktop, and desktop legacy are three of the plugs and interfaces that are automatically plugged in. So automatically the programs can do without any security check by the team by security team at Canonical. And actually, if you want to see how things go, actually, if you do any package and you want, let's say, home directory, you have home directory access, you request it on their Snapcraft forum, and it will be a vote by multiple members of Snapcraft team if you actually need or deserve that plug access to that interface.
Right.
One of my old packages I snapped, I actually got the permission to use the home interface. But while it's actually just a snap file and you're testing it out or you're giving it to your friends, you can still enable those plugs by yourself, which you can also do by if it's defined but not plugged in from the when it's installed from the store. And let's check out what that would be like. So we're gonna give it permission to actually look into my home directory. Now this is gonna be terminal that should be theoretically useless.
Right.
Or theoretically useful. It will know how to go through directories on my home folder. So at least I can search the file system. So, and what we'll see at first, it won't be able to do that. So let's launch it. Again, -C. But what we'll do now is we will be doing snap -help. There is, again, sometimes it's good to ask the documentation. Or I believe I actually saw what I need. So, but I will still console the documentation. So first we can check all the connections it has. So we go snap connections and st, and it will tell what it can do. So now we will just go with, let's see, snap connect. We type in the snap name, so st, then semicolon, home to st semicolon home, and it will ask him for a password because this is a root level privilege. Oh, of course there is no st required here because this is they have a tiny bit of error, I believe, in the documentation, but okay. So now if we run st, of course we can close the other two instances. It should be able to read my -rc. Still isn't. Why? Okay, so another issue. As you saw, -rc didn't work, but actual interface was connected. That is because the home interface cannot access your hidden files. So if we go to our home directory and just ls it, we're gonna see everything is still open. Everything shows. Why is that? This is because, again, we connected that interface, and -rc as being hidden file cannot be accessed.
Now, could you do a ls for the hidden files? Would it show them? Yeah, it would
yes,
show
it shows them, but if, let's say, try to open it with Nano, it definitely won't work because it doesn't know that Nano exists. Because it only has access to my home directory. I would have to install Nano into the snap itself, which could be good if you do like confined environment or something like that. But for that, then something like LXD or Discord.
No, Docker.
Docker, yeah, Docker. I for the last 2 days I've been messing those two softwares up for no reason, and I mean I have to log into Docker a couple of times a day now since I'm doing some development and using Docker as a development environment, and I have it in my package manager. The password for that login set as Docker. I don't know how many times I saw Docker type Discord. Again, if you want more detailed instructions or more use cases or more different plugin help, like we used Make plugin, you could use Python plugin or even .NET plugin. It has a .NET support.
Yeah.
You check out another package, which was packaged. So again, Popey is a great source for that, or Snapcrafters, GitHub page. Those are great sources for snapcraft.yaml files.
Yeah, you could hit them up on their support channels. I'm sure they've got
forums
and IRC chats and
snapcraft.io /form abilities.
Okay.
It is a great form which you actually need if you want to do the whole static confinement with different plugs that are not enabled by default.
Well, thanks for hanging out with me, Bigpod, and showing me a little bit on how to create snap packages. Where can people find you on the internet?
They can mainly find me on my YouTube channel, and they can find me in DT's Discord.
Okay.
Where I occasionally hang out and might talk. And if you ping me over there, I'll probably see it.
Ah, cool.
And of course, in DT's chats and comments, that's where I hang out.
Pretty much anywhere in the Linux YouTube community, you'll find Bigpod. So.
Yeah.
All right, Bigpod. Well, I appreciate it. Take care.
Goodbye.